Tonight on Broadcast and Bubbles, we're talking American Idol finale and Going to Paris with Taylor, an evening with ABC.
Welcome everybody. We're what a night that last night was on ABC primetime. We kind of had the intention of going into last night, obviously watching the Taylor Swift Lover album release-ish thing in Paris. She did a concert in September after like a month after she released her latest album, Lover. And then there was also the American Idol finale. So we sort of stumbled into this, and this was the first episode that I watched of American Idol this season. And Megan, what did you think?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to take a moment and address because we've sort of talked about the various ways that people can watch these live specials. Like sometimes it's on a major primetime network like ABC, and sometimes like Nickelodeon is hosting it. So Addie and I have had to use like some complicated methods to watch these live specials. But luckily last night it was a mainstream channel. So I did the like attempting to log into the app, and tale as old as time for us currently, but we were trying to anticipate what time was Taylor actually going to be on, because we're West Coast and we always
I
get a
thought I
weird
missed it.
time. Right.
I thought I was like, because I saw that she posted that it was 10 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Pacific. And I was like, shoot, I thought it was going to be on 8 our time. And I was like, I missed it. Oh my God. And then it actually was on at 10, which is sort
Yeah.
of fine because I didn't miss it, but
But it was
annoying.
that thing of like, I go into the app at that time and then Idol was on. And so we sort of stumbled into watching the finale of Idol. Because full disclosure, I don't think you've watched any of the more recent seasons of like the reboot when it switched over from Fox or anything. Like
No,
both of us watched early seasons,
I
but
did.
it's been
I
a
was a
while.
very passionate Idol fan back in the time
Right.
of Adam Lambert.
That actually might have been like the season after I stopped. So it's been a minute for me. So like I got really into The Voice if we're talking like voice competition shows, but there's like 20 of them now, including Listen to Your Heart Bachelor Style.
Oh my God. Yeah, I
But,
haven't watched
but
that. Technically not a live broadcast, so we don't have to cover it.
exactly. It's fine. So yeah, and that's the thing is even though Idol is normally live, this was a unique setup that they were doing at home, and they've been doing I think 3 or 4 episodes at home. Um and it
So
was
that was the thing that was confusing to me, that while I was like I was live tweeting to Megan, that I was asking her like, when did Idol cut out? Because it feels like it cut out really, really early on because they were bringing back people from like the first episode. And I was like, did they only get to go through like 2 rounds of auditions and then they had to cut it out? And they've been doing this all from home because it's not good. It's really not good.
this one was rough. There was a lot of moments that were actively like, are they having technical issues? And I was trying to read like how much was pre-recorded. Like I think a
Yeah.
fair amount of like the first performances were pre-recorded, and we were discussing a little bit about the vocal quality because I think so many of the audio tracks were, pardon my French, but fucked with, where it's like this isn't a live somebody in their backyard with the neighbor's dog barking. You know what I mean? So I was like,
No.
when did they get this? What was the agreement of like, this is how we're going to like boost you to help you get America's votes? It was just there was a lot happening at different moments. It kind of worked at different moments. It was kind of neat. And like, I always think of what was the Miley Cyrus video a few years ago that she just like suddenly dropped a video of her like singing in the backyard, and then like Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens did that, and everyone was like, "Ooh, they're in a tent," and like it's cool. And there were moments of that where you're like, "Oh, like this is a neat home performance."
Yeah, where
And then
there's vocal production involved. So because if you have a live recording, like you're gonna have to tweak it a little bit to actually sound like in headphones to sound good. And that doesn't mean that they're cheating. It actually is so you can listen. Because if you've ever listened
right.
to like, you put your iPhone up at a concert and you listen it back, you're like, this sounds like garbage. So they
Well, I
have
mean,
to fuck with it a little bit.
side note, full disclosure, like that's why we have an audio track recording and a video recording, because an audio track is going to be clearer than just like
Yeah,
the
we try to get audio
in
track in here.
camera
Sometimes it doesn't work.
technology,
When
man.
technology's on our side, it's great.
But no, I mean, like, I think from a production standpoint, we appreciate when they can get a clean track, but there were definitely moments that you're like, "Oh, you, like, did you auto-tuned that a little bit there," you know what I mean?
Yeah, or it was like poorly. There was a lot of that on Idol, and I know from I know from just reading articles about American Idol, even in the beginning, they would pre-record certain things and vocally edit stuff. I think they would vocally edit things less if the person was getting kicked off the show, but on The
Interesting.
Voice, they do tweak it because it's all
Hmm,
pre-recorded. It's not so I think maybe some episodes are live, but and
interesting.
there is like a live auto tuning. It's not auto tuning. It's really Melodyne that's happening. That's the people are
Yeah,
like,
do you? Because I will say you go to a lot more
step
concerts
into
than
my
I do,
office.
and, like, you just know because obviously you have vocal production in your family differently, like, I know voiceover, I don't know audio like, music stuff.
Yeah. So the difference between, and Megan and I just did a movie about music producers. So that's inspired by my brother and his producing partner who I live with. And so I'm seeing this all the time, which is that artists, when people are like, oh, she's auto tuned, T-Pain is auto-tuned. Like that's what auto-tuning sounds like. It's that like yo-yo-y, it's a style. That's what auto-tune is. What you're hearing and listening to, like Selena Gomez or Justin Bieber, because you notice that there's a big difference in their live vocals than there is on their recording. And when you hear a sort of like in the thing in the recording, that's not auto-tune. That's actually called Melodyne. And Melodyne
Mm.
is what gets you pitch perfect.
Mm,
So even the best singers, Adele, is melodined because
mm,
in a recording, it will sound off if they're not pitch perfect. It will really irritate you and sound like there's something wrong with the song, unlike a live performance. So, like people on Broadway, but even people on Broadway, there's a sound mix that's happening. So it sounds more wet in the audience, so there's a little bit more wiggle room. It's not a raw vocal, but they're still,
mm.
singing live. It's just it's tweaked so that if anything goes wrong, which it often does in live performance. So anyway, so that's the difference between Melodyne and autotune is that autotune is going to be like I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
buy
yeah, yeah.
you a drink. Oh. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, what T-Pain. And then
Mhm.
Melodyne is actually every single artist you hear. Ariana Grande, she is melodined as well
It
because
I
she
would
probably
equate it
won't
to,
be
like
melodined
it's
as
like a
much.
polish as opposed to, like, I don't know, like a rework, right? Like,
Yes,
would you
it's
kind of like yeah, it just puts a little shine on it so it's a little smoother.
mhm.
That makes sense
It'll
because
still have the same vocal quality, but it's just going to be like, oh, on this one note, they were a little bit below the note. So on a recording, it has to be. But if they sound like that, that's how you can really tell the difference between live and not live is because
mm,
if everything sounds super polished and you don't hear breath and you don't hear
yeah,
vocal fry and you don't hear things like that, that's how you really know. If things sound too perfect and you're like, wow, this person's an amazing, which we'll get to, about Taylor, my beloved Taylor Swift, but just about live vocal editing is kind of, I think, a big thing we're going to talk about today on the podcast.
yeah,
But that's a
yeah.
little history of vocal production, and it's important. And there's layering, and nobody's cheating. Maybe Selena Gomez is cheating a little bit, but, um, because I think she's also heavily layered with backup vocals and everything. Jennifer Lopez did that too for a long time. Anyway, but that's a little history of vocal production.
But no, it definitely was utilized last night, versions of mostly probably Melodyne, but there was a lot of polish on the audio, and that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure this was recorded at least a few hours ago. Props to the editors. I I don't know, not to totally switch gears, but I just will say this format is awkward to me. Like as a
Mm,
viewer, and I was reading like
mm.
the numbers are lower on these live at home things. Also like the West Coast didn't get to I do apologize. We have some
I was like,
construction
is
on my
that
end
me?
and like
No, it
emergency
is me.
vehicles. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully they're okay, but
It's like,
yes,
wow,
if you
that
guys hear
microphone makes it sound like it's right outside. It is
vocal
outside.
quality. So yes, apologies if you hear sirens or drilling in the background. We're not in a soundproof area, I will say that. But we're here. We're doing it live. Um, but every time that they cut to like the judges, it was like I actually
Wow.
it was just awkward. Oh my god, there was a
Katy
couple times
Perry.
Katy Perry's "Wow, I want that soundbite so badly" because she's just like the soul deadness of it. Also, props to whoever is either living with her or her clothing designer. That girl, I don't know what that material is, but she has a different outfit for every day of the week between the fries or the burger outfit from Taylor's video, the toilet paper, the sanitizer, the elephant. She has so many of those different like hard material like costume things.
Yeah. I think her pregnancy, I loved what Katie wore last night on the live, because sort of the setup, if you weren't watching, there was Ryan Seacrest, who had a pretty good camera, good audio, and then he had an American Idol kind of like bar sign behind him.
Yeah,
It
like
was
a
like
big
a
like kind of
fluorescent,
neon, but yeah.
yeah, neon bar sign behind him. And he progressively began to deteriorate as the night went on, which we'll get into. And
Ooh.
then they would cut to Luke Bryant, who's a host, he's a country music singer, Lionel Richie, we all know who Lionel is, and Katy Perry. And they were all, it actually felt like these were pre recorded reactions. And they were like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
oh, yes, awesome. And they would like cut to them, and it felt not, to me, it didn't feel
Yeah.
like that was live.
I agree. I actually would really agree with that
So it
because
was painful.
it was so awkward.
And then they would have performances from, because I remember from watching Idol, they would have famous people come in, and then the cast on the finale would sing with them and do these cool arrangements of songs. So Cynthia Erivo performed, Luke Bryant performed, which was like a parody of itself.
You know what it reminded me of? Even though John Mayer's version was great, but his like hilarious like bar mitzvah video, that is the best
Yes.
setup I can explain because it was like a terrible like, green screen of like his concert. And it was like, here, guys, we're at a concert. We're flying through the concert crowd. And it
And
was
there was
just,
so much cultural
blah.
appropriation. It was like, there was like, it wasn't even, the song was called Two Margaritas, and then he was showing like festivals and celebrations and parades of like Day of the Dead, and I was like, what the hell is going on
Oh.
here? And I just was like, this is offensive. And it felt like, you're so right, it felt like the John Mayer New Light video where he's like in sweatpants and like dancing around, and it's probably one of the best videos of all time.
Was the thing is like Addie and I kept kind of laughing about it because you were like, it's almost like a parody of itself because it was like so
Mm-hmm.
stilted and then like the video and just the whole evening felt very like too easy to make fun of. You know what I mean? Or it was just
Right.
like, this is
Right.
comical. And also, I kind of miss the days of Idol where they were critical. And I guess it's the finale, so most people are going to be good by the time you get to the finale. But anytime they went to the judges, they were like, that's the best you've ever been. I'm so proud of you. It was very like, good job, child. Like, da da da. Like, I just was like, across the board. You know what I mean? Like, every single judge was just like, good job. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
cool.
because there was no live, and I think it's just like, well, we're in this shitty situation, so what are we really gonna say?
Yeah.
It did feel like parents like looking at their little like preschool children and like clapping and saying, "Oh my god, aren't they so talented?"
I will say the one thing that actually truly impressed me was Katie's performance of Daisies, which I had not heard the song, but just the video production of it was fascinating because it was all green screened, all just like as if she was like moving through this massive set, but she basically moved like two steps in either direction. I don't think her voice was the best in that moment, but I think she was a great performer and especially compared to the rest of the evening, that was a moment that I was like, cool, glad I watched.
Yeah, best. It was the best performance of the night, and it was so. I don't even know how they did that. I guess they went to the Idol stage and like stayed 6 feet away from each
I was
other.
trying to figure out because I feel like they also could have just like green screened the crap out of like a small room. You know what I mean? Because at one point I thought she was on the stage, but then like the stage shifted that I was like, oh, I guess that was green screen. Or it was like they somehow got approval for her to go with like one cameraman. But I feel like
Yeah.
if she's pregnant, she's going to be extra careful and not want to do that. So I don't know.
Well, it also could be that she got tested and whoever she was working with also got tested
That's true because it's
because
very
that's a
accessible in
thing.
LA right now.
That's a
Yeah.
thing.
But
So I thought it was I love that song. I love the lyrics of that song. John Bellion also co-wrote that song, which I think is he's amazing if you're unfamiliar with his work. Um, he also worked on Halsey's new album and he's very
ah,
talented songwriter. Anyway, and I was like, oh, no wonder I love this song because I love everything he does. So yeah, I think Katie was the highlight of the night. Then the other highlight was Ryan Seacrest.
was he drunk? Was he having a stroke? Who knows?
So we get back from commercial break and we're already like, this is awkward. It's not really working, but like they're just doing their best. So like, good for them. And we come back and literally Ryan Seacrest is like this.
He's leaning, one eye drooping.
One eye is drooping. He's leaning on the table, one eye drooping, looking at the screen where all the quote unquote live stuff is happening. And he's trying to talk and he's trying to look at the camera. And he also just looks like he's so done. Like he's so over it.
Which I will say, this man has done half of the lives of everything. Like anything ABC, he's in charge of hosting, basically. And then he's still doing live with Ryan every morning. And they've been doing it live from their house, blah, blah, blah. So like this dude has not stopped working, which
No.
shouldn't surprise anyone because he's Ryan friggin' Seacrest.
Yeah.
But I was like, did you hit the end of your rope? Like, literally, has anyone checked on him in the last 12 hours? I am worried.
Yeah, I'm seriously worried for him too. And I mean, it was like an SNL sketch. I highly recommend if you can watching the last 10 minutes because it actually is an SNL sketch. And I think I'm going to parody it today on my TikTok because Ryan's like at the
I
end of his
can't
rope.
wait.
Katie's just sitting there super pregnant. She's like, wow.
Glowing.
And they're announcing the winner of American Idol, which if you're familiar with the show, it's like confetti, huge fans, tears, like screaming. This like they get a record deal. Like it's crazy.
Mhm.
And literally it could have been like people were on the toilet or like finishing dinner and they're like, I just want American Idol. Like it was so
oof.
awkward and just like I mean it's sad, but like I don't know, it was
There was
so
it was
awkward.
just like a collapse of the professionalism that they had tried to put into the beginning half. You
Yeah.
know, like the end, I guess because they had to do it more live, it was just like chaotic. There was not, because they go from like announcing the top two, commercial break. Well, I think it was when they announced the top two is when Ryan started to deteriorate. And then they do another commercial break, come back, he's still struggling,
I
which I'm
don't know what
sorry.
happened to
Like, ladies
him.
and gentlemen, I was seeing a bunch of tweets like, is he drunk? Is he plastered? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, it's all on one side. That is like the the first two steps of having a stroke.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
think
am
he had a
legit,
stroke last night.
or at least a
Unless he
mini one,
unless he has or like a
like a
migraine.
lazy
Maybe
eye
he was
or
having a
something.
migraine.
Oh,
Um
that sucks if that's the case.
that definitely could have been it. You know what? I'm just going to look this up for the sake of everyone. If he made any comment on it or if he actually does have a droopy eye cuz that's totally cool.
That is cool.
No.
I, I mean, he basically did the tweet of like, congrats, winner. And then that's all she wrote.
No, he does not have a droopy eye.
But
I'm not hating on droopy eyes. Droopy eyes are great.
well, and that's the thing is like, it was just so immediate and sudden. And everyone was like, did I miss this? Because
Did he get punched in the face?
like, I don't know. I both of us genuinely are like, are you okay? It is comical to an extent, but if you are having a medical emergency, we care and we hope you're okay.
Yes.
Um, but it definitely added a certain air of mystery and confusion to the chaoticism that was already happening.
Yeah, there's not enough people talking about this. It really needs to be, honestly, if you're listening, go watch it. It's spectacular live television.
And it only got weirder after they
in the
announced
time
the
of
winner,
COVID.
and there was a lot of like, "Cool, I guess she won." And then they go into the Michael Jackson feature of like, "Let's make everyone feel better," and talk about "We are the world," and glow onto the side of mountains and hospitals and da da da. And I'm gonna let you do that descriptor because I was just like, "Make it stop."
Right. So at the end of the show, they did "We Are the World" with Lionel and all the whole cast of American Idol this season and past contestants. So like Jordan
Yeah,
Sparks
like
was there, Kelly Pickler, some familiar faces. Then they began to project. So the look, I get what they were trying to do, which was like,
trying to make it interesting.
we're going to have everybody go against a blank wall so we can project things on them and then like take their faces and put them on different things. And then it went very far. It, they had their faces on like Mount Rushmore, the like Capitol Hill, the
Like the
Grand
side of
Canyon.
like a hospital. They were like in the cross on the hospital. And I was like,
Yes, they
okay.
were like in the ocean. It felt like, I don't know if you ever knew this. Okay, when I was in 8th grade, this is pre YouTube. There was this website that we used to watch called blackalbinosheep.com. Do you know
I am
this?
not familiar with
Okay.
that one.
Do you
Describe it
know
for me and
any
listeners.
of the video? Like there were all, and there was these like funny cartoon videos that we would watch. They were sort of like parody videos or like just funny songs. And one of them was like, do you know the song like "Everyone Else Has Had More Sex Than Me"?
It vaguely
Everyone
rings a
else, and it's
bell.
this little like mouse that's singing. No, I
It
should
like
send you.
it vaguely rings a bell. It also makes me think of Lonely Islands. I just had
Yeah,
sex.
it's sort of like a lonely, but they were all animated pretty much. There was also like "How to Kill
Okay.
a Mockingbird," which was like a parody of "To Kill a Mockingbird." Um, there were some other like really funny. Oh, like you know the Badger song, like "Betcha, Betcha, Betcha." You know
Oh,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
it kind of, I believe it originated on that site. So we would watch this site, and it felt like it was like very strange, but like quirky humor. And I was watching this, I was like, I'm having flashbacks to watching Black Albino Sheep as like a 13-year-old. And this is the kind of stuff that would have been on the site, which is like a human on a mountain, a human in the ocean. Like we're all connected. It is the closest thing to a parody video that's actually serious. And
Yeah.
it wasn't offensive. It just was like
It
too
felt
much
like
and bad.
yeah, it I again, I get they were trying to do like some sort of production quality that was interesting, but they very well could have just done the like Queen thing of like everyone floating on a black screen and like made it choir like and like it would have been neat instead of
I
it
know.
feeling like God bless America, like gotta like float through the planes and the trains and the automobiles. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just a little much, a little on the nose, because obviously it's we are the world, we are the people. And so it's about like going coast to coast and showing how it's affected all of the states and how we're all in this together kind of a thing. But it was a little too on the nose,
I love what you typed
creepy.
last night. You were like, this is a choice.
Yeah.
Because I would
With
have
a lot
understood
of
if
dots.
there have been some amazing commercials that have happened in quarantine. Like there's that one with the grandmother who was born. The grandmother, I mean, I
The
feel like she's
child was
my
like, I
grandma.
was born in quarantine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, I was born in quarantine in 1920. Um, and I appreciate like those commercials because they're taking actual clips from, I think, like journalists, and it should have been like ABC should have given them the footage that they have and like had American Idol. I mean, maybe they felt like that was too sad or off brand, or but I feel like there's so
Yeah.
many inspirational commercials that are happening right now, like, you know, for mothers or for healthcare workers, and it should have been more like that as opposed to like a, I can't even think like what do I even, where have I seen that kind of weird projection before? Like I don't, I
I feel
can't
like I would
even.
see it like as a child, I would go to like the Natural History Museum and it would be like that was like the thing. It also reminds me of Soaring or whatever at Disney. You know, where you like fly over things? That's what it feels like. It's just this like projection of
Yeah.
the various
Cold
spaces.
Coldplay did a music video sort of with a similar concept, but it was, like, more animated and,
Mm,
like, stunning, and they had, like, elephants in the sky. They did sort of the opposite of what you would
yeah, a
anyway,
little
but
more of like a fever dream. But I I mean, I will say my takeaway is that if you're gonna watch any of it, watch maybe Daisy's performance with Katy Perry, and maybe just find a short clip of Ryan at the end just to understand the confusion of everything that was happening. But the rest of it, sorry, I would say you can skip.
I wonder if he's gonna I hope he addresses yes, I would agree with all of that, and I hope he addresses what
Yeah.
happened. I
And
hope he's okay.
and
He's fine.
this is definitely one of those instances though, where it's like we watch it so you don't have to. Like we're here for the quick recap and some buzzwords. Next time we're all at a dinner party and need to talk about how American Idol handled quarantine.
Yeah, and how big networks are making choices and what works and what doesn't work and why it doesn't work. And, if they should even bother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they have to. I mean, they have to anyway, it's
Because
just
obviously
tough.
so many of the non-reality shows decided to just cut their seasons short. But
Yeah.
then and some of the reality shows were like, we just have to stop and we'll pick up when we can.
Yeah.
But this one was like, we're gonna figure out how to keep it going. I mean, okay, we'll be nice for a second. Props to everybody that, boosted Ryan's at home studio setup because he's only gotten more interesting and well lit and well heard. And they got rid of his weird earpiece from the first thing I watched with him. I think it might have been the first Disney special or something, or I was just like, what is in your ear? It is huge. It was like literally like a pen that went to like middle of his
Oh,
cheek. And I was like, is this
is that
like
a mic? Was it a mic?
I couldn't even it didn't even look good. Like, I was like, if it's a mic, it's a poor choice. But he's continually gotten better every time he's hosted something. And it might be part of the live with Regis and Kelly, or Regis and Kelly. God, I'm dated. Kelly and Ryan. That's like 3 hosts ago, Megan. Get your shit together.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
But on that note, I mean, that's all American Idol. And the biggest reason we tuned into ABC last night was for Miss Taylor Swift.
Yes, we. So
Because she was in Paris.
because she was in Paris. Bonsoir. So Taylor Swift announced, I think it was last week, that she was going to release the concert that she did in Paris, a very small, intimate concert that she did in Paris right
City
after
of Lover.
City of Lover. The City of Lover concert that she did in Paris right after she released the Lover album in August. So that's sort of the timeline. And she did, and I feel like as a fan, and after having seen her live in 2018, that I felt like this was really a glimpse into the magic that is her shows, unlike watching the Reputation Stadium tour on Netflix, which is really, really fun and definitely watch it. But here you get to listen to a little bit of how she talks to the audience, and it felt more of like it felt more like what her Reputation Stadium tour felt like, where she was really like, when she gets on an acoustic guitar and an entire stadium of like 100,000 people like shuts up and listens to her, and the magnetism that she has, and what a big presence she is. Because like that's a small stage, and she's so tall. But I just felt it was a really great representation of her magnetism and her songwriting. Because it was great to hear stripped down versions of these songs, and I almost kind of prefer them. But yeah, Megan, what did
Yeah,
you
I
think?
guess I almost want to start by asking, since I know that you had tickets to her concert that got canceled. Do you feel like this was I mean, I probably would assume it's not the same, like the concerts are way more produced, way bigger, lots of costume changes, a lot of more walking around because the sets are more complicated. But do you feel like this was a nice gift in place of like having to cancel?
Yeah, I mean, I think because I'm such a nerd, I'd seen some of this already because people released like everybody had their phones, so I had seen a couple. I kind of knew what she was going to perform.
Mm.
Um, but so yes, because I hadn't heard her. Here's the other thing though, like I had heard all of these songs live already because I
Oh,
sort of like
really?
follow
Oh,
because
because you
she
were
had
watching the clips and
performed
stuff,
like
yeah.
she performed Daylight at BBC, Radio 1, she performed Death by a Thousand Cuts at her tiny table, tiny desk NPR.
Dinah Moose.
Cornelia Street I think was the one I hadn't heard her do live
Ah.
yet. Um but I thought Death by a Thousand Cuts was unbelievable.
On
And
I do kinda wanna jump in on that because ironically and obviously she didn't do the whole album, there's a few songs, probably like half the songs, right, got
yeah,
performed because it was an hour special, including commercials. She started with literally my 3 least favorite songs on the album. Like,
really?
I know Archer is powerful, but I really it's one of those songs that I always wanna skip it. I thought it got overplayed, like, it's just not one that I love, and Death by a Thousand Cuts is one that I just also, I was like, "I don't get it," but that performance I liked.
Mm,
And I guess because it is, like it's meant to be that, like, more personal, acoustic, fireside chat kind of a thing, and I was like, "Oh, cool, I'm down for this." Like,
yeah.
especially when I was like, "Oh, no, not another, like, less liked song," because I love so many songs on that album, and ironically, some of my favorites she didn't play, so I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
someday."
She
Like, I'm
didn't.
dying for Paper Rings. That's,
Oh,
like
interesting.
it's
That
so, like, upbeat, bubbly. I love it.
that's interesting because I don't like. That's my least favorite song on the album is Paper Rings.
Paper Rings.
But
That's
I'm
right,
also
because I
not in a
guess
relationship.
I think because it's one that has, like I and when it comes to pop music, I want upbeat, go. Like, I want the music that gets me like, "Yeah, everything's great, da da da," and that's probably why, like, Archer and Death by a Thousand Cuts, which are all this, like, like, it just goes,
Mhm,
like, into the floor, and it's like, if I want ethereal or, like, thinky, I go to Coldplay.
mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? And Taylor, I love a lot more of her, like, upbeat stuff, like, that's why I love The Man, that's why I love and that's what I we can come back to it because Lover is the song she ended on, but that's why I
Mm,
like Lover because it's a mix of both. It's which
yeah.
I will say I thought was a great ender because it's got the, like, slow calm, but it's still like, "Ta-da, ta-da," like, it's a little upbeat,
I wonder
you
if
know,
she's
it's got a
gonna
good
close on tour. It makes me think about the order that she was going to do for
yeah.
Loverfest because I was so excited. I had floor seats to Loverfest in July, and it was gonna be this round stage. She was also gonna have like a lot of guests come because she was only gonna do like a handful of shows. So very sad. But the big thing, everybody wants her to release the song Cruel Summer because it's
Mm,
May. And she's never performed Cruel Summer live. And I think everybody wanted her to
mm.
open Loverfest with Cruel Summer because it sounds like an opener. And then my favorite song on that album is Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. That's my favorite song
Ah.
on that record. And I love Lover. The song is
I also
probably the best song she's ever written, but
also
it's
want
not.
some London Boy action. Like, what about London Boy?
I know.
Give us some Idris Elba. Come on.
Yeah. So it's a great record. I do like the production of Reputation better than I like the production of Lover. I don't love all of the way that the songs are produced, which is different from the but so what you can hear from last night is how the song was written. I don't love the way the songs were produced.
That's interesting. Yeah, and yeah, we were kind of texting a little bit going, "Oh, it's like a more intimate setup and all of that." And I will say, like, I kinda liked it because I felt like it gave her freedom to be herself,
Mm,
and especially on an album that is I mean, all her albums are personal, but this one is, like, optimistically personal,
mhm.
and that's, like, a new page in a lot of ways for her because a
Yeah.
lot of times it's, like, it's so personal about a breakup or it's personal about a friend fight or da da da. And that's a wide sweep on Taylor's career there. She's much more in depth than that. But um, all that to say that I like my first thing is I picked up on that like vivacious charge that you're talking about. Like she walked out on stage, I was like, she looks healthy and happy and like
Yeah, she's like
tour ready. Like
sunshine.
she's yeah, and I really appreciate it. Like this was such an appetizer that it makes me, somebody who does not actively buy tour tickets a lot, be like, "Oh, maybe I'll buy one when she reopens the tour or whatever. Like maybe I'll go because I did watch the Netflix special for Reputation. I was like, that's really cool. But I agree with what you're saying. That's like you get a part of how great she is at banter, scripted or otherwise. But this was one where I was like, she is having so much fun and I want a slice of that cake. Like that is, sorry, that sounds a little sexist, but you know what I mean? It's like I want to drink that Kool-Aid. I want to like it's fun and catchy and personal. And that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I think it was really just like um like this is why I actually got to watch it with my mom last night here in quarantine. And she was like, and she's watched some Taylor performances with me as well, but when she actually pulled up the lyrics to every single song that she performed, and she was like, "Are you kidding me? That is so profound." And I was like, "I know, this is Taylor Swift. Like, this is why she's like, she is so different from every other pop star because these are really her words. Like, she's really this songwriter who, has really worked on her coordination and dancing and creating this sort of spectacle. Um, I think my only criticism of last night is I thought it was over vocally produced.
That's interesting. Cause yeah, I texted you and I was like, Lover sounds very clean. And and a part of me thought it was because she was so like, and this is a little actory of me, but she's in her body. She's really like comfortable. She doesn't have to project to a stadium. Like,
Mm-hmm.
da, da, da. It just felt more relaxed, which
Yes.
Addie and I know vocally, like, usually that does mean you're going to just hit the notes. Like, it's not going to be pushed. It's not going to need, but you were pointing out like it's probably melodined in post because it is smoother. But even
Yeah.
then, it's like any other time I've seen a Lover performance, she's got something happening where she's trying to like make a change on the audio or whatnot, and where I'm always just like, cool, like I get it. I guess here's a little bit of a controversial thing that I feel about Taylor. And I've said this like about people like Lin Manuel Miranda. They are fucking genius in certain aspects, but I like you're saying, Taylor is so good at lyrics. She's so good at writing. She's so good at like the business side of things. I don't think she's the strongest vocalist I've ever heard. She
Mm-hmm.
has a great voice, but she's not the strongest vocalist. And I usually see it anytime I watch her live performances. I'm like, cool. Like she's figured out how to make it work for her voice. But this performance last night, unfortunately, apparently melodined. I was like, oh, your voice is naturally coming through. Like this is the voice quality that like,
Yeah, well, when
ooh.
she's sitting down and really, so here's the thing about Taylor too, that is something that I've learned from living with music producers, is that a great recording artist is not to be criticized, if that's it. Like a great recording artist is not to be like messed with, because some people want to say like, oh, if you can't do it live, like you're not
Mm,
interesting. But the fact that she has such a unique quality to her voice, and that if you watch any of the Reputation AT&T sort of behind the scenes vlogs, which are fascinating about how she wrote everything and her in the vocal booth, you can hear like she really does sound like that, but there's acting involved in being a recording artist, similar to voiceover. Like a voiceover artist is only going to be successful if they have a really unique tone and way of telling stories. So that's something really interesting about Taylor, because I think she can, like we were just saying, like she can sing like that. I think just sometimes there's so much going on that sometimes that doesn't
yeah.
always come through, because she's very active in her performance, which is
Yeah.
hard
I would agree with that.
to.
Which not to totally loop back, but I was thinking about that hilariously in the God Bless America sequence of American Idol, because Katy Perry is another performer that has a very distinct voice. She
Mm,
always kind of adds her twang. That's not twang
mm-hmm,
isn't the word, but you know what I mean? She always kind
mm-hmm.
of adds her like Katy-ness to what she say, where it's like, I feel like if I heard a Taylor audio, like we pull the same lyric and song clip of some song anywhere and have Katy sing it, have Taylor sing it, have Chris Martin sing it. Like, and we're obviously mentioning a bunch of pop singers, but they have. I think you're absolutely right. They have like a certain sound
And
that you're
that's
like,
what makes
oh,
them
that's
pop
cool. That's what
stars.
exactly.
Like Billie
That's
Eilish. I
yeah.
mean, Billie Eilish actually
Mm,
uniquely can really, she sounds exactly the same. But also Billie doesn't have a ton of, I mean, she does move around a little bit, but even when you see Bad Guy and she's really dancing, like you can see that she's huffing and puffing and like it's not, but when she sits down and does it, and same with Taylor, like when Taylor's at her guitar, she sounds like that. She has nothing behind her. She's just in her country music box.
yeah.
Um, so I think what we're trying to say is like, I think like uh, the, recording artists, sorry, this is taking me, I'm trying to be like careful with my words. Recording artists are who they are and are unique because of the way that they sing, not necessarily like how pitch perfect they are all the time. And that actually doesn't always mean that people are great singers. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Like that's a
I think
big
it
thing I've
does.
learned.
No, and that's a great point, but that's also why I say it's like her vocal brand, if you will,
Yeah.
is one way, and then it gets produced and things like that. But the performance of Lover to me last night was closer to like hearing just like her sat into voice, just
Mm-hmm.
the magic that happens when she's at a guitar. I was like, oh, and to hear that on Lover, which is a song that both of us really love,
Yeah.
was nice because, like I said, previous performances of that song, I felt like, okay, this is the song you kind of need to hear in produced form. Otherwise, it's going to be a little weaker.
I loved her
But maybe it was
SNL
just,
version of it though, when she was all in green. Was
oh,
beautiful. She
I
was
might be
just at the
forgetting that one.
piano.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, and that's the thing is, I don't get me wrong, she's a good singer, absolutely closer to great.
yes.
But I just do think like I wouldn't put her in an opera.
Right,
Like
right, of
I think
course.
you know what I mean. Like it's just sitting there being like, wow, your voice can do any like I'm sorry, but Ariana Grande to me is like that
Yes.
voice where I'm like, throw anything at her, she will make it like ring true.
Right, but
And
Ari's not
Taylor's it. You know
right.
what I mean?
Everybody has their strengths, and I think that Taylor's voice has only gotten better. And
Yeah.
like when she belts that, like when she was doing Death by a Thousand, was it
Yeah.
Cornelia Street? And like she
Oh,
goes,
Cornelia Street. Yeah.
baby,
She like went, oh, I just got chills thinking about it.
yeah. And then when she goes, Sandy screams your name, and she belts that. And I
Yeah.
was like, that is something she's been working on really, really hard. And that's Taylor has like this incredible ability to mix
Mm.
so well and
So many
mix.
of her songs sit in that where, yeah.
They sit right there. And it's between, so head voice is like, ah, like when it's heady and airy, and then chest voice is when, like how I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking in my chest voice, I'm not speaking in my head voice. So, and mix is the in between of that, which is really tricky and hard to do and takes a lot of, or it's taken me a lot of work to be able to do that. And it's right on your break between your head voice and your chest voice, and the more that you can like smooth that out, the better, and the better you sound, and the more strength you sound like you have on higher notes. And she is so good at that live too. But anyway.
Yeah. But I will say that like last night, whether it's all been cleaned up in post or not, I actually really appreciate it. I thought it was some of her best singing, some of her like her just I felt welcomed into the performance in a new way that maybe I just also haven't seen that in a while because we've
Yeah.
all been watching Zoom calls. Um, but
It
I
was I
thought it
know, it was
was
so refreshing to actually watch like cameras and
and something that isn't green screened.
yeah. And choreography and
Yeah.
backup singer. I love her backup singers.
I wanted to ask, I actually have two questions to discuss, but I wanted to ask because we've both said that Me is not a favorite off the album. I don't I don't have as big of a like critique of it I think as you do, but how did you feel about the Me performance?
So here's the thing about Me. I saw her perform Me last summer at Wango Tango in June, July.
Yeah. Sometime in the summer.
Before Lover, the album came out. And I think she closed the show, her set, her like 45-minute set at Wango Tango with it. And when I saw it live, I was like, oh. I get it. This is for a stadium. And I felt that way with other artists that I love. Like, okay, I don't love the recording of this, but when I see it live, I understand the joy that this brings to a stadium of people. Um, I liked it last night because you could feel it in a different way. I just felt like it was
Mm.
the wrong choice for the first single off of that album.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I feel like the choice comes because they filmed the music video and all the pastels, and that's the whole like brand visual of the album is this
Yes.
pastel, pastel, pastel. So it's like, okay, this is going to introduce, but I feel like they could have done that with any of the songs.
Yeah, if she
Um,
had come out and done well, I think she wanted a hard reversal on Reputation. So she needed
yeah,
something super positive.
yeah,
Um she actually I'm actually kind of surprised she didn't come I think the first single should have been Cruel Summer or The Man. Like if he wanted like a big pop banger.
yeah.
Um
And especially because the man is like an upbeat
or if you
twist
need to
off of
calm down,
Reputation. You know what I mean?
You Need to Calm Down could have been the first, but I think they wanted a tone to express the tone
Yeah.
of the album. So that's why they picked me. But I just feel like I think Cruel Summer would have been like a number one hit.
I have faith it's gonna come out, Addie. I believe for all the Swifties in the world that need Cruel Summer, I'm
I heard with Post
manifesting
Malone,
that it will release.
the rumor is she's going to come out with the remix with Post Malone to Cruel Summer, and that's going to be the
Are
single.
you kidding me?
This is the rumor. There's also a rumor that it's an entirely different song. It's called Heavenly.
I'm okay with any of that. I think that would be the most fun collaboration sound in the world.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, especially because she's not on tour this summer. So
Yeah. But no, I did enjoy Me last night. I thought there's like, even though the thing is, I love Brandon Urie. I think he has an insane voice, and I just felt like it was a weak collab. Like I want something. I want another one from them because I feel like that can't be all weekend. I know that sounds
yeah,
terrible,
it sounded a
but
little Panic at like the drums were very Panic at the Disco. That was sort of similar, like a
yeah,
production choice. But and I actually like his verse the most. I know
mm,
I tend to make it about
me.
me.
But yeah,
But
it's.
I'll
I did
never bore
like.
you, baby. Like that's so his
Yeah, I appreciated the performance of it last night. I thought, especially after kind of starting on a bunch of slower songs, to end on Me and Lover was sort of like a sweet spot. She probably could have mixed the order a little bit, so it wasn't like slow, 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 go, go, go. But I thought it was cute, and the movement wasn't too much, and the dancer was like everyone was just having fun.
yeah, and
Um,
I loved how intimate
yeah.
that venue was. And I wonder how long the actual performance was.
Do you think we might be missing a song?
I don't remember. I'll do my little Tumblr research.
But yeah, I guess the one thing before we sort of wrap up for today, I just wanted to chit chat a little bit about sort of something you touched on earlier with your mom and like finding the lyrics of Taylor, because I feel like that's a interesting observation. Because the one thing I know for myself is like I don't have the best ears, like I have hereditary bad hearing, so I always like when I listen to music, like talking about our favorites on the album, I always glom onto like the the tempo and like the beat rather
Mm.
than the lyrics. So it's funny, like, because Paper Rings, I don't think about how it's like, oh, I'd marry you with paper rings. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the lyric. But to me, I'm like, duh, 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 duh. Like, it's just got a
Oh,
tempo.
interesting.
And it's funny because, like, Archer, that's probably why I don't love it because I don't really listen to the lyrics. I'm like, like, it's very.
That's really interesting, Megan. I'm glad you pointed that out
And
because
I
that
just
makes
feel like that there's a couple different ways to look at pop. And so I was going to ask is like, is that the first thing you figure out is like the lyrics and metaphors and things like that? Is that kind of what you catch when you listen for the first time?
I definitely go for top line first, which is the melody of what the singer is singing. And then I go into lyrics.
So
So
interesting.
because it's interesting, like some of my favorite songs of all time, I didn't love the melody first, and then it just sort of hit me in a different way, and then I was like, "Oh wow, I actually really do love this song." Not all the time. I really am a melody person first because I'll love a song regardless of lyrics, but the ones that mean the most to me in my life are because of the lyrics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
like
why like Death by a Thousand Cuts is truly unbelievable to me, and Daylight as well. And the Archers lyrics are so profound. Like that's my mom's favorite song on the album.
it's so funny. Yeah, that's funny because I still probably could only list a couple lines from that song because
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say Tale as Old as Time, but that's hilarious because I'm about to say something about Disney. But I always go back to as a child, one of my favorite Disney movies was Aladdin. And that's like the beginning of my love of music and musical theater is like I would run around singing songs from Aladdin and, musicals and whatnot. But the lyric in A Whole New World, I definitely heard as a child of like a dashling place I never knew. And my mom thought it was so funny. She never corrected me.
That's
Thanks, mom.
amazing.
But that's like case in point where I'm like, A Whole New World is like da 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 da, like it's already like here we go, and I didn't care what the lyrics were, like all the way back to my childhood,
Right.
just terrible.
No, but I think yeah, that's amazing. I definitely did that a lot with well, not a Disney song, the song Tequila, the dun 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 dun. So the Pee Wee Herman song, I used
Yeah,
to say Sequila. Dun, 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 dun. And my parents didn't correct me until I was like 14 years old. Like I had no idea it was tequila. I thought it was Sequila.
tequila.
Or like the Statue of Liberty, not Liberty,
Yep,
or the
yep.
Pacific Ocean.
Yes, I love that about like child brain is like you're learning words and you combine them. But no, it's just interesting as an adult realizing that like lyrics when I catch them, they're powerful and whatnot, but it hits differently when I do find like when I really hear the lyrics and am like touched by them.
Mm.
But usually with pop music, especially, I'm like, if the tempo's good, I almost like don't care. But
Mm.
then sometimes I find out they're like really offensive, and I'm like, I can't like that song anymore. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I mean,
because I think about like the Daisy's performance last night because I hadn't heard it and I was only hearing Katie's audio and again not really hearing the lyrics. I was like, I don't really like it, and then I went and tried to listen to the original, and I was like, oh, I like it more, and then I realized like some of the lyrics in there I was like, oh, this is interesting, like
the
and that's
lyrics
like
are
literally, and I
amazing.
that's what it is like the sequence of having to like dive into the song more
Yeah.
is it really makes you appreciate it more. But like my first takeaway, I was like, I don't know if I really like this song. And I'm a big Katy Perry fan usually. So I was like, oh, I've really highlighted something about myself.
Yeah,
But
and I think Katie's lyrics before, I mean, for on one of the boys, I think her lyric, because like Teenage Dream was not like, it was pop bop after pop bop, but it wasn't necessarily like a lyrical masterpiece, I would say. But I think the thing about
yeah,
Taylor is that I love her melodies, but also she really puts 150% into her lyrics.
yeah. And she's an artist that's constantly developing. And I truly appreciate that. Um, in that like she's trying to find something new without totally throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
good job. But yeah, I think the takeaway last night is like, would you recommend the Taylor special?
Yeah, it's going to be on Hulu today. We are
Yeah.
not sponsored by Taylor Swift, but we would love to be. um, and I definitely recommend watching it as a fan, as somebody who likes her music. I think it's a really great insight into how powerful she is as a live performer.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's the highlights, the lowlights from ABC channel last night.
ABC Primetime Sunday.
But yeah.
Sunday in
And then
quarantine. Sunday, what was it, the 17th? Yesterday?
oh yeah. I like 17. Um that's this week's podcast, but since everyone's still in quarantine, join us on Instagram on Tuesday and Thursday 5 o'clock Pacific. We do lives. We have trivia tomorrow. We make a drink on Thursday. And by make a drink, I mean like we're mixologists now.
We are. We're broadcasting bubbles. We are expert bubblers at this point. We literally make our own sparkling wine. You should come watch.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can we? That'd be amazing.
You should
I
try
want
to
to do that.
ferment some grapes.
That's not going to go well, but I'm down to try.
Yeah, I mean, you can make home beer and home. I mean, I definitely can figure that out. I know some people. I know
Oh, I love
some
it.
people in the beer
I love
industry.
it. But yeah, let us know if you guys check out Idol or Taylor, or if you hear of any upcoming lives
Did
that you
you
want us to
like,
cover.
what did I not understand about American Idol? And did you like Taylor's performance? Will you be watching? What did you think?
Are we good with just Sam winning?
I knew she was going to win. I didn't even watch and I knew she was going to win. Because I'm psychic.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you are.
All right. We love you guys. We'll see you Tuesday and Thursday on our Instagram Live at Broadcast and Bubbles. And we're doing it all live on our live stream, obviously. Okay. Thanks so much for joining us. And we will talk to you soon.
Next time. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.